Hello my dears. So there's this channel called Love Don't Judge, and I think it's UK based, but they do feature couples from different countries like Australia, America, etc. And I'm guessing the whole point of their channel is to normalize unusual relationships based on the title name and also the relationships that they showcase. This channel does come across as though it's really trying to push polyamory, just because every other couple they show on there is in some kind of open, consensual, open relationship. But anyways, that's kind of besides the point. There is also another kind of relationship style, shall we say, that has featured on this channel multiple times. And they all kind of fall within the same kind of storyline, which is boy meets girl, boy and girl get into a relationship, boy convinces girl to do OnlyFans. A few couples come to mind who kind of fit this scenario, the first being Mark and Mia.
This is Mark. He fell in love with Mia. They may look like your average couple, but their way of earning money has led to online backlash.
Mia currently makes $55,000 a week.
Mia and Mark run an OnlyFans business. Whilst Mia models, Mark does the admin.
Mark says that he was told by one of his friends that someone's girlfriend was making $2,000 a month on OnlyFans. So he then suggested the idea to his wife Mia, and they then opened up an OnlyFans account together. She mostly is the one who's in front of the camera, and he does more like admin and stuff and more behind the camera work. According to Mark, they have managed to make $250,000 a month from their OnlyFans page. Then there is another couple who also fits into this kind of relationship style, and that is Zoe and Matt.
This is Zoe. She fell in love with Matt.
Matt suggested for Zoe to start doing OnlyFans, and again, same scenario. She models or does more of the in front of the camera work, while he does more of like he shoots the videos for her, etc. Now their relationship is kind of different to the other two in the sense that they're swingers for starters, and they kind of have an open relationship, because prior to doing OnlyFans, Matt suggested to Zoe that she should sleep with other men. The way he describes it, it sounds to me like it's more of a control thing. And I don't mean that in like an abusive way or anything like that. I mean like within the video, he talks about how he's been cheated on pretty much in every relationship he's ever been in the past. And so to him, it's kind of his way of kind of getting ahead of that before it can happen. So rather than live through the pain of Zoe cheating on him, he feels like if he just lets her sleep with other men, then that way there's no need for her to cheat on him. And so it kind of makes him feel a bit more in control, because it allows her to still go out and do that, but in a way that's more on his terms, and he's also in on it. It's not happening behind his back, etc.
When did I decide that I wanted to start sleeping with other guys? I suppose it came from you initially.
And then when you agreed to it, I was happy with it, because obviously, like I spoke to you previously, wasn't it? And I'd said I'd constantly been cheated on and things like that. So I was quite happy to find someone who weren't then gonna cheat behind my back.
So to start off, I would go out, be with other guys while you were at work.
You'd send me pictures, videos.
Oh, yeah.
So then I got something from it. I was involved, and I ended up getting basically like amateur porn.
Yeah.
My personal porn star.
And so I guess in a way, like, their scenario kind of makes more sense as to why he's so comfortable with her doing OF, because I can only imagine that a guy who's comfortable sharing his woman with other men in the real world probably would have a lot less of an issue also sharing her digitally. Then we also have Kate and Guy.
This is Guy. He fell in love with Kate.
I came across her modelling profile. I was like, wow, she's beautiful. I want to try and date her. And spiral out of control from there.
And they have started working together on Kate's OnlyFans career.
Let me know if it shows too much or not. There you go.
So again, same story, boy meets girl, and then, or in this case, girl meets guy, and then guy tells her to start an OF account. Guy says within the video that he doesn't think it's a big deal for her to be doing OF content, because to him it's just like glamour modeling. So he doesn't really see it as being quite strange that she's online. He also says as well that, he just thought Kate was just so beautiful that, she should have an OF page, which is kind of a wild thing to think that. crazy to think like that's how compliments are being given nowadays. Like, oh my god, you're so beautiful, you should have an OnlyFans. I guess that's what's considered to be a compliment in this day and age, I guess. I don't know. So again, with Kate and Guy, like I said before, it's a similar scenario to the other two. So Kate is the main one in front of the camera and Guy does all the photography and takes the pictures for her, etc. When Kate and Guy first got together, her family admits that they were very, very skeptical and very distrusting of him initially, and they thought that he was trying to exploit her. And I don't know, I do get a slightly different feel from this couple compared to, say, Zoe and Matt, because with Zoe and Matt, you kind of get the impression that even though it was Matt's idea for her to start doing an OnlyFans, that she actually genuinely enjoys working within the industry and she loves it. So you do get a very, very different vibe from her compared to Kate, who kind of comes across as though she's quite uncomfortable with it, to be entirely honest. She talks on there about how she's had stalkers and how she's been fetishized because she has dwarfism. And she says how she doesn't really like to lean into it or to entertain it, but she feels as though she has to in order to keep her following.
Hi, I'm Kate. I'm 22 and I'm a model, fashion blogger and student. I have achondroplasia, which is a form of dwarfism. There is a lot of people who fetishize dwarfism, obviously, as it's quite different, and the 2% of my following that will comment, and I've got to be so careful to not interact with it, but at the same time, if I do not, I'll lose a following on OnlyFans. Guy is actually the one who suggested it.
You ready, Kate?
Yeah, just come in.
I'm Guy, I'm 32. I'm a marine engineer, but I'm also a motorcycle racer. Let me know if it shows too much or not. You are a beautiful small girl, and it was like, you are quite different and you got a unique selling point there, all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
And there's a potential there. Ready?
Yep.
I just don't get the impression from Kate that she enjoys doing it as much as Zoe does. And so you do kind of get, I do feel a bit more uncomfortable with their dynamic a bit, because it kind of makes you wonder, like, if you don't enjoy it, that, and it wasn't your suggestion to do it, then, you know, are you really happy doing it, or are you doing it because you think that Guy wants you to do it? But anyway, the point of this video wasn't really to analyze their relationships. It was more to ask a question, which is, I've said before in a previous video that I do think that OF is treated in a very, very different way to other forms of sex work. The fact that a guy can be like, oh my god, I think you're so beautiful, you should have an OnlyFans, kind of tells you just how kind of casual and mainstream this is becoming, because a guy would never say, oh, you're so beautiful, you should, you know, be on the street corner. And because of that, it does seem as though it's making some men feel very, very comfortable to suggest doing this kind of work to their partners. And my question is, if we have a society where men feel very comfortable to suggest for their female partners to go into OF, then are we not kind of blurring the lines of safeguarding? I found that the comments underneath these kind of videos were kind of a mixed bag, from people saying as long as they're happy, leave them be, to people saying, girl, he's not your boyfriend, he's your pimp. So it seems as though there's kind of like people are kind of torn between the whole live and let live versus, you know, he's exploiting you kind of view on this particular type of relationship dynamic. Some of you may have heard or may not have heard of what's called the lover boy method. Some of you would have probably heard about this in regards to the Tate brothers, because this is one of the things they've been accused of doing. So if you're not familiar with what the lover boy method is, it's basically when a man gets into a relationship with a woman or gives her the impression of a relationship in order to exploit her, usually sexually, to get her into doing some kind of sex work, etc. And this is something that is illegal because it comes under trafficking. So I do have to wonder, will normalizing these kind of relationships, or kind of normalizing these kind of scenarios, make it a lot easier for guys who genuinely are bad and genuinely do want to exploit people? Wouldn't it make it easier for them to do so? Because I think currently we do live in a time where if a man was to say, oh wow, you're so beautiful, you should do OnlyFans, I think most women would generally view that as quite a red flag and view that as quite a bizarre and concerning thing for their partner to say to them. But if it was to become more normal in the way that channels like Love Don't Judge are attempting to make it seem as just a quirky, eccentric, unique style of relationship, then perhaps some people might not think it's so bizarre for their partner to suggest that to them, and might not think that their partner is trying to exploit them. I don't know. I guess I just don't believe that this kind of content is consequence free, because people are influenced by the kind of stuff that they see on social media. And so even though there might be some couples who can consensually have these kind of relationships, I think that normalizing it could then potentially blur the lines of safeguarding to some other women who could potentially be victims of the lover boy method or something like that. Especially if this is presented as a innocent kind of just a quirky, eccentric relationship style. You know, it's not a big deal if your partner suddenly starts trying to convince you to do sex work. It's just, you know, it's just a different type of relationship. And so yeah, it could potentially just make it easier for people to be victimized in this way. But maybe I am just overanalyzing it. I have no idea. Let me know what you think. I do feel though, over time, I've kind of come to realize that maybe shame and stigma aren't as bad as we think they are. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like as the more we try and destigmatize things and the more we try to avoid shaming people, the more things, questionable things people try and make normal, and the more bizarre people's behavior becomes. And it kind of just makes you think, maybe shame and stigma was not about being horrible to people or being mean to them, but it was just a way that society tamed immoral behavior without involving the government or the state. You know, maybe that's the whole point of shame, is to regulate and to prevent immoral degeneracy without involving the state. And maybe we should bring some of it back, okay? Because not everything should be destigmatized. Some of the things that we've destigmatized, I think is great. Some things we've destigmatized, I think we should run that one back. I think the shame was good. Bring back shame. Bring back a little bit of shame. Not all of it, but some of it. Bring back some shame. But anyways, that is going to be it for this video. Do let me know what you think about this. Am I over-analyzing it, or is this kind of weird and shouldn't really be normalized? I'd love to know what your thoughts are in the comments, and what direction you think we're going in terms of all of this kind of stuff. So do let me know. If you've enjoyed this video, you may as well like and subscribe. Thank you so much for giving me your time today, and I will see you in my next video.